How's it going, everyone? Again, this camera is incredibly old school. Doesn't seem whatever. Just going to my son's room here for a bit. It's always best. Doesn't mind. Hold on. It says my connection is unstable. Let's take a look here. All right, I think we're okay. So what I wanted to talk about today is why do our species specifically feel the need to have a purpose or to have a mission as opposed to simply just and being momentum of living like all other species seem to do. And that's a question I've been contemplating a lot. And it seems to be the case that we impose upon ourselves the need for what we deem to be meaningful instead of trying to be. If we truly did live in a moment, then that every moment would be meaningful, I believe. Because if you're constantly going, what is meaning, what is my mission, what is the purpose, you're living in a sort of field of fantasy of your own creation. And I know this because I've lived it most of my life. I still don't know my mission and what I'm here to do. It bothers me more and more. And but I ask myself the question often, is it something I'm just simply creating in my mind? As opposed to just being in that freedom of that moment and being in that momentum of living. If you're constantly over analyzing and trying to figure out within that you all these boxes you create in your mind, you create them and you try to fill them with ideas, but a lot of these ideas are often empty and they dissipate the moment they appear. So what I mean by this is that this book I'm reading, it talks about this, natural flow. You see, the animals are not concerned with fulfilling a purpose. It's already inherent in them. We assume that it's anything different with us, which is what I've been asking myself. My son might come in here in a second. I don't know. It's a really complicated question because, and the reason why I bring up this subject is because so many of us feel a lack of meaning. So many of us feel a lack of purpose, a lack of drive, a lack of ambition, something I'm all too familiar with my whole life. Oh, hi. I stopped worrying about my purpose. I'm improving my in the now skills. Yeah. That's a good way of looking at it. It's hard though. You still, it's always an uphill battle. At least it is for me, where you're always struggling to deviate from those negative thought patterns that come in. It's like a seed, it's like you have a seed that's planted in your mind, And sometimes you don't even notice that this thought pattern inside of you is growing and it's becoming a part of your identity. And why do we lack such self control in our species? This reality wants to pull you back. That's right. It doesn't want to, it always wants to pull you back. It always feels like um, 10 steps forwards, 5 steps back, um, or the other way around. I mean, you're always being pulled back. There's always something like a thorn at your side trying to deviate, trying to almost prevent you from basically self actualization, from the lack of a better term. Constant little pricks and such. Hi, Emma. How are you? uh, Again, as usual, I started this too late. I didn't give enough notice, but it's all right. I didn't really plan on doing this. I was just in the mood to talk because I've been sort of not in the greatest state of mind at all by any means. And this book I do feel is helpful. Um, and I'm going to read a little bit of it actually, not as much as I did last time. But I just want you guys to get an idea of what, Mr. Wayne Dyer's meaning of purpose is. So give me a second. A sense of purpose is at the very top of the pyramid of self actualization created by Abraham Maslow more than 50 years ago. Through his research, Dr. Maslow discovered that those who feel purposeful are living the highest qualities that humanity has to offer. In many years, I've been in the fields of human development, motivation, and spiritual awareness. This is the topic that more people inquire about than anything else. I'm repeatedly asked questions such as, how do I find my purpose? Does such a thing really exist? And I ask myself that question too, because I've made that video a while back about how eternity simply is and everything simply does exist. If everything simply is, then is it even really necessary to ask the question of why, of purpose, of meaning, if it's already built into eternity, essentially, regardless of whether you feel it as a feeling or not? Because a lot of these things are just feelings, right? That we create these structures that we internalize. And Linda says, I never really figured out my purpose. I do my best to present and contribute to whatever I'm doing to make the day better. But purpose, yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. Um, to me, like I said before, like to me, it's like a natural, like you're within the momentum of life. Like you're swept up in the pattern of being. To me, if you're in that, you're kind of, I believe that you're in that purpose. The last time I even felt that momentum was maybe in my childhood, maybe 13 years old at the latest, 14. And then it was just gone. It was just gone. And it never came back. Even after my, I've never been in the momentum. I've never felt part of that cycle. I've always felt very separated, completely separated and alone. Hey, Nigel, thank you. So sorry I cut us off right there. Does such a thing really exist? Why don't I know my purpose in life? Being on purpose is what the most self actualized people accomplish on their life journeys. But many individuals feel purpose in life is that intention is a force in the universe and that everything and everyone is connected to this invisible force. Since it is an intelligent system we're all part of, and everything that arrives here came from that intelligence, it follows that if it wasn't supposed to be here, then it wouldn't be here. And if it's here, then it's supposed to be, and that's enough for me. The very fact of your existence indicates that you have a purpose. As I mentioned, the key question for most of us, what is my purpose? And I hear that question in as many forms as there are people wondering about it. What am I supposed to be doing? Should I be an architect, a florist, a veterinarian? Should I help people fix automobiles? Am I supposed to have a family? Or be in the jungle saving the chimpanzees? Or befuddled by the endless number of options available to us and wonder whether we're doing the right thing? In this chapter, I urge you to forget these questions, move instead to a place of faith and trust in the universal mind of intention, remembering that you emanated from this mind and that you're a piece of it at all times. Hey, Angel, how you doing? So that's pretty much what I was just saying before, was that he kind of uses different words, right? But it's the same sort of idea where you're engaged in the momentum of being, and that you find yourself kind of in that pattern where you're swept in by what is that? It can mean so many countless different things, right? Like, does that is that like does that include evil intentions in people as well? Like, I was just watching a little bit earlier that El Chapo Guzman, like the Mexican drug lord, like, did he was that his purpose, to get swept up in the momentum of, that lifestyle, just to be? Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, Nigel, about the animals, right? About the animals and the plants, and that they just are, they simply are. And when I made that video a while back about how eternity simply is and it simply exists. But the question is, for today's topic, why do so many people have the feeling, like it's actually more like an emotion, that they're not in their purpose, that they're not in they're not feel this myself? Is this a feeling that we conjure up in our minds, or is there something real to it? Is there something that is missing? But if everything just is, then how could there possibly be anything missing? Angel says, I just try to help others. Now I'm out. Don't want to come back. Yeah. I think I probably developed pneumonia, by the way, or something, because this cough won't go away for like 2 weeks. Boy, I could tell you about synchronicity, which I have crazy amounts of on a daily basis. I think synchronicity definitely is a guide, and could help us kind of guide us along towards our whatever we feel our purpose is. And I had a really crazy one the other day where over the last, like, I had this unusual fascination with Elvis Presley. Why is that weird? Is because he's someone I couldn't possibly care less about my entire life. Couldn't stand his music or his movies. Nothing. Don't like anything he did. Sorry if that offends anyone. But I've been researching him lately for some reason. Excuse me. A year ago, a video from that I made a year ago, somebody comments on my channel telling me to watch this channel that's about Elvis Presley. So, but it's not just about him. It's super interesting because apparently his name is tied into a lot of conspiracies and numerology, which I never even knew about. But I just wanted to bring up that example, just like the impossible synchronicity there. How I'm looking up Elvis, and then this person comments like that, right? And this stuff happens all the time on a daily basis. Because I know a lot of you are having these. Even my own brother I talked to him the other day, and I told him I keep seeing the 666 everywhere. And I didn't have the slightest clue that he's been seeing it too. He's like, I have been too. I'm seeing it every day. I'm seeing 666. I'm seeing it multiple times a day. And I'm like, what does it mean? He's like, he tells me, I try not to think about it because he says what he feels about it is that we'll know the reason for it in the future, which I guess is a good way of looking at it. Linda says, when I feel I'm making a difference, I feel more connected. But when I'm in that space where it feels like nothing I do matters, it spirals into depression. And you wonder what's the point. Yes, happens to me too, says Angel. Yeah, and Theog has a lot of synchronicities. Yes. Yeah, totally can relate very much. Other periods that are like a total like stagnation, a total lack of ambition and motivation, even though I no matter what I push myself as hard as I can though, like no matter how I feel. But it doesn't mean it always helps. Because it doesn't. Like, let's be realistic about it. Um, so he basically says to forget asking those questions, right? Oh, it says my connection is unstable. Can you guys still see me? If somebody can still see me, please let me know. It says I'm unstable. Thank you. So he says, forget all that. It's naturally inherent in us, right? And that's what he says in the next paragraph here. Intention and purpose are as beautifully and naturally intertwined as a double helix of your DNA. There are no accidents. You're here to enter the world of particle and form. Many of the things that you refer to as problems result from the fact that you're disconnected from intention and therefore unaware of your true spiritual identity. The process of polishing that connecting link and reconnecting is basic to your intention to live your life on purpose. As you cleanse the link, you'll make two very important discoveries. First, you'll discover that your purpose is not as much about what you do as it is about how you feel. Hey, Outer's here. Yes, I'm done with the numbers. I've been getting three digited since the early 90s. Whoa. Since the 90s. That hasn't given me any kind of knowledge. No, it feels like it's been going on forever for me too, at least for like 2-3 years now, which is not since the 90s, but it's long enough. Nigel says intention and intuition are linked. Yeah, intention and intuition are linked for sure. But then again, I don't always trust my intuition. Like, I know that's controversial. So many people say, oh, just trust your gut feeling. Just trust what you feel, like what you sense and the butterflies in your stomach, blah, blah, blah. I've had so many occasions where trusting my gut feeling did not go the right way. Sometimes you do need to be rational and use your mind more than your gut feeling. It just depends on the situation. So I think that's overrated personally, though. It's good. It has its place, intuition, and it's inherent in us. It's built into us. Let go of rationality because that might lead us into a bad place. But that's just my opinion. Um, as you first you'll discover. So he's talking about feeling, right? It's about how you feel. Your second discovery will be that feeling purposeful act. Man, I feel like my gut feelings have failed enough times to where I don't really place out. Yeah, exactly. How you know what though? To be on the other side of that though, you keep freezing bad connection. All right, let me go somewhere else. Let me go somewhere closer to the band. All right, yeah, Brian. I totally get that, but then I don't mean that that's always the case. Not by any means. There are times where it did very much help. Actually, I've had some serious situations where intuition was very, very important in that particular situation. So